Okay. Years ago, there was a commercial on television, and it was some young woman in the shower with soap, and there was an advertisement for soap, and it was her Meet the Teacher night, and she was a nervous wreck. So I know after teaching for 34 years that every time I had to stand in front of all those parents, I was a nervous wreck. I am not easily, if I make mistakes, it's because, and I talk with my hands, it's because my back, even though my name is Douglas, my background is Italian-American.
And you're an artist. Artist top.
And an artist.
And you are an artist, yeah. You're an artist.
Yeah.
Must good.
Yes, even though my name is Emily Douglas, my grandparents all came from Italy. And if you ever saw Maria Bartoloma on television, she had done a series on Italian Americans, and I fit right in. She said she talked with her hands. She said she was very stubborn and persistent. And also my grandparents, you had to go there on Sunday afternoon for dinner. And my mother taught me how to make the gravy. They don't call it sauce, they called it gravy. So that you knew how to make the best meatballs. My mother taught me how to clean the house, how to iron perfectly. And my mother went to work. My grandmother was a matriarch, she was a tough cookie. But her son didn't speak English when he attended elementary school, and he went on to be a lawyer and almost a judge. If he hadn't gotten Parkinson's disease, he probably would have become a judge. And then my cousin, her grandson, went to Harvard Medical School. And here they came from Ellis Island. My other grandfather was a bit, I think, illiterate. He became the foreman of Unita Doll factory, and all his grandchildren went to college. So they believed in hard work, they believed in education, and they believed in family, and doing the right thing and being honest. So, when I was growing up in Brooklyn, I took 2 buses and this is for sure, about Coney Island. Did you go? Did anyone go?
Yeah.
You went to that?
To Coney Island?
No, I mean, did you go to that presentation? There was one in the Sachem Library.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so many people have their roots in Brooklyn. But in an apartment house over store, so I took 2 buses and a train. I never drove at that time in order to go to Brooklyn College, which was probably a 20-minute ride in a car or a half-hour ride. And I did that on my own since I knew my parents wouldn't have to pay for it. And Brooklyn College was hard to get into. In high school, you had to have a 90 average to get into Brooklyn College, and I worked very hard in high school. I had to study. I'm a studier. I don't remember things unless I study. So I did then graduate. I was only just 20 when I got married the first time, and 21 by 2 weeks when I started teaching. Because I got out of high school 6 months earlier, not because I was in any special class, but because I didn't have to take extra classes. And then I got out of college 6 months early. So I was young when I started out. And I took on a lot. We taught on the island, so we moved out to Long Island. And I was very happy to get out of Brooklyn. I could go out to the North Fork or some beautiful place out on the island or upstate. So while I was married, I looked in Newsday and I see motel for sale. So we bought a motel. And this is because we were both teachers, and we decided that this would be a supplementary income. It turned out to be a lot of work. Every day school ended, we were up there. All the vacations, we were up there. Since my son was just 1 year, he celebrated his first birthday. My daughter celebrated her first birthday there. And this was the lodge. It's called the Aalto. This is the lodge, and the motel was there, about 6 rooms. But a lot of people stopped because this was built in the 1930s. and the motel was added later, and it had stained glass windows. It was and this was the height of the living room. The stone fireplace
Oh, that's very nice.
was the height of the living room. When we bought it, there were bats all over and bat droppings all over. And my husband went up to the ceiling and he took down the paneling and got it with a tennis racket and he got it all down and cleaned it up. And then we had a few cabins, and then we bought the property next door and we had a few cottages. And I remember, yes,
Where was this?
this is in Chestertown.
Okay.
It's
Upstate?
north of, yes, it's north of Lake George,
Oh,
about a half hour.
Wow.
It's the Adirondack
Beautiful
Mountains.
there.
And the Adirondack, if anybody's
It's
ever been,
beautiful.
the Adirondack Museum is 21 buildings,
Yes.
absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
So, and, you know, before that, I see a sign saying waterfront property, the building on it, 38,000. So I said, oh, let's go look. So we went and looked, and we bought it. And we have had that house, well, he's since passed away, and he's divorced and then passed away, sorry to say, but we had a waterfront house, I still have the waterfront house.
Where? Oh,
that's
In
Oakdale.
Oakdale.
Yay.
And this is over my backyard when the snow was on,
showing to the camera.
when the snow was on the ice and the seagulls were just sitting on there. And I could see it right off my deck.
Beautiful. That's your view?
Yep.
That's lovely.
You know, I have a nice view, but I don't want to work in the... This is across the canal. This was one of the ones I did. Across the canal, and this was the sunset, and
Is that pastel?
pastel. Yeah,
Very nice.
right. And
When did you start
speaking,
drawing? When did you start drawing?
oh, I didn't tell you this story. Where's Mario? Mario's not here.
He's probably at
He'll
the
come,
men's
he's
meeting at
eating
church.
dinner, and he'll be here.
Yes?
Yeah, he will. He's at the church.
Oh,
The
they're
men's
having it.
fellowship.
Yeah.
He's not gonna miss a meal.
They have good meals. Well, Ben Franklin was an old store in Oakdale, and I see a sign, art lessons. So I said, oh, maybe I should try art lessons. I had just gotten a divorce. I'll try the art lessons. So I go for the art lessons, and two of the other students were my students who did far better than I did. So Mario started me in art. And then I took lessons. He came to
You
my
are still
house.
teaching them?
I was still teaching
Oh,
them,
very good.
yes.
What did you teach?
I taught elementary school first, second, third, and I loved teaching.
I guessed
Remember, raise your hand, don't call out. So Mario took me, we went to different places in Oakdale. We was all plein air, all our artwork, or he helped me along and I got into it. And it was all plein air. It was at Byron Lake Park, it was at the Arboretum, it was all over Oakdale, off my deck and everything. This was one of them. This is off my deck as well.
Wow.
This one of my,
I like to
right
sit
now
on the deck.
right now there are houses there. So that was a while ago. And then I started to become more observant. When you become an artist, he said, you have to observe things. And I'm looking at everything and observing everything, every flower, everything. Mario taught me. And he introduced me, and then he said to me, you know, you could join my art club. I said, me? Join an art club? He said, yes, I'm the president. So I joined the art club. And this was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Quite a while ago.
I was
This
saying.
is my first part of it. And then I became, in the classroom, I was always on the creative side. And I wanted every child's work to be unique, no patterns and things like that. So at Christmas time, we put in the hallway gigantic poinsettias, this big, because each child looked at the poinsettia looked at the inside, the outside, the veins, and they folded construction paper so that each petal was about this long. And and then in the middle, I'm saying, look at this, so they do little curly construction paper, little things like that in the center of the poinsettia. And everybody would comment on these poinsettias because it was a nice red with the green, and they were huge. And each one was different. Each one had the vein. These were third graders. And then I taught the class also to do origami boxes. Very simple origami boxes. We use them for different things occasionally. And Memorial Day, around Memorial Day, they all made the boxes, and then we did stars and stripes, and they would paint on the boxes, make design. Each one was different. And then I made a big sign saying Idle Hour. That was the name of our school. I know it sounds funny, Idle Hour, it's a school, but that was the school. I was this big, D, and we glued it on a big piece of paper, and the principal kept it even after I left because, it decorated the, the auditorium or whatever. So it was something that just came to me. I was on the creative side. I liked every child's piece of artwork to be different, to be their own. And I did well with children who were inclusion, special ed as well. They came into my class occasionally, and I always made them feel important. I found something to say good about them, something to praise, and they felt comfortable. And then the very first word that I ever taught my class, they had to learn how to spell it, and this was third grade, was empathy. So that no one would ever be bossing or picking on anybody else in the class because he had no empathy. You have to understand what it's like to be in that person's shoes and to be in their place. And so I rarely had any put downs or anything like that. And I did well with the more difficult children, which was surprising because I'm more on the easy type of a disciplinarian. Not easy discipline, everybody has to do the same thing. We went on a school trip, I got compliments on how well behaved my class was. Because I was taught when I was young that you had to behave, and if you visited somebody's place or whatever, you always So, now, this was also from my backyard. This was, I did this quickly from a picture, but this was, in the fall, it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, there are a lot of houses there now, but it's very beautiful in the fall. And, I forgot about Take Me to Who I Am. Helen, I'm walking into John De Niro's sculpt course, and this was art murals for the classroom teacher, not the art teacher, the classroom teacher, one course. And one course was called Take Me to Who I Am. So, something like this was done there, where I didn't use a paintbrush, I just used slate and pieces of rock and everything, no paintbrushes. And he always let us use Benjamin Moore house paint. We took wagons to the beach. We went on the ferry in Davis Park. We took wagons with Benjamin Moore house paint, easels. And there we are. And we're doing, my daughter's, she has the seascape that I did. But this was a tree.
Could you explain that more? How
Okay.
you did that?
Looks Chinese style.
Yeah, it's just, I used feathers and I used like pieces of slate.
And you dipped it in paint and
Yeah,
then put it on
paint.
the
You didn't
paper?
use brushes, you mean?
No brushes,
We
nothing
use
like that.
seaweed and sand and stuff and all adhered.
Yes, Helen was with me.
Like a
That's
plywood, like a
right.
plywood or something.
right. And this came out, I really like the way that one
Yeah,
came out.
it's
And then
nice.
I,
Very good.
I spent a lot of money on the frame.
It's very
This
good.
was also in that Take Me to Who I Am, where I looked at a tree and painted again with the Benjamin Moore house paint, and then I fixed it up a bit. And And it was a tree right there on the property in Smith Park. And
Mine is in a cellar. It's bigger, it has Spanish moss.
I'm sure it's better. And then it was interesting, the course Take Me to Who I Am. People had to write at the very beginning of the course who they thought they were. And then take this course. We even went out in the woods and made sculptures with stuff we found in metal, that we found out in the woods. And at the end of the course, they had to get up in front of the group and talk about how they changed. So many of the people were in tears. They really were in tears. I wasn't in tears because I had been already exposed to this kind of thing. But they were in tears, and I said, this should be in a corporation. On the highest floor, they should be teaching people how to be creative and relaxed instead of following every business rule and everything and not expanding themselves. This was my dog. This is my Peppy, Shih Tzu Poodle, who listened to me. At least I thought he listened to me. Because my children would say, as soon as you left, he went on the bed, because there's no dog on the bed. He went on the bed, and then as soon as he heard the car come in the driveway, he went off the bed. He would go into my pocketbook, not mess it up, but find little pieces of candy. So, at age 17, I fell asleep watching the Academy Awards. I let him out. He was blind from cataracts, and they wouldn't operate then. And so I let him out, and I fell asleep, and I guess I forgot to take him in, and he was gone. So we searched the neighborhood looking for him, and apparently he must have gone into the canal someplace.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but he was 17 and blind, and but I felt so responsible, so needless to say, my daughter got a brand new Maltese. But I shouldn't have done that, because that dog is so spoiled. Yes.
His eyes on it.
Eyes look real.
That's, guess who helped me with the eyes? That was Mary. I did the painting, but he helped me with the eyes. It was the cutest doggy, and I trained him with the kennel cage. So when you have the kennel cage, he was obedient in the kennel cage, and as soon as I woke up, I let him out, and he was a very good dog. He went upstate with us and everything. So,
But you
that's okay.
have good memories of him.
Yes, he was a very good dog. Better than my first dog, who looked like he was from a mix of so many things. And at the time, my first husband and I, he was in a band, so we'd go out to the, listen to the band and have breakfast at 5 o'clock in the morning. And the dog was always running out the doggy door and barking, so the neighbors complained. Or we'd go out in the sailboat, and the dog was coming after us and everything. But that dog was he would bring the most disgusting thing. He would always get loose and bring the most disgusting things. Oh, but not my Peppy. But him, we actually buried this. He was a weird-looking dog. Like somebody go wild boar or something. and this dog, I remember he went out because he was going to pass away. So he came home, my husband, and I said, what happened to the dog? Did you leave him? No, he's in the car in a plastic bag. I said, you brought him home? He says, yeah, we're going to bury him on the top of the highest part of the motel property. So we did that, and then the whole family went out in the boat and everything, but that dog was not okay. And
How about that one?
okay, this one, I used that special paper, the waxed paper, sandpaper.
Sandpaper.
Sandpaper. And this was at the Arboretum. So I take pictures and then I change them around. This gave me guidance for the arboretum. And I like this one. Right, and I happened to get this frame that was, he had it in, this is picture frames, and he happened to have it in the store, so it didn't cost as much as it might look.
Very good.
Can you
Okay.
name your paintings?
Yeah.
What's the name of that one?
That one is, it's pastel. This is Benjamin Morgan's painting.
That's a good name.
Arboretum impression. So I realize I'm getting a bit into impressions.
That's nice.
And I like pretty nature scenes and everything. This was also a lot of swans and their babies around our property, and took a picture, and then I painted that one,
And
and
they cute they are.
they were.
You can feel the fuzziness.
And when there are swans, there are no geese. The
Oh,
mallards
really?
stay with them,
Oh.
but when there are swans, there are no geese. They are tough. You want to get.
Right, you don't want to tangle with them.
Yes, right. Especially in this, when they're all worried about the base.
You were quite
But-
talented.
And this one
You know,
here,
considering you started later on.
You right away start the paint.
Well, I started with Mario, it was quite a
No, I'm
while.
talking
Oh, when
about
did you do
were
that
a
one?
little kitty.
Oh, no, I never
No.
thought of myself as artistic, maybe on the creative
It's wonderful.
side. Oh, thank you. This one is also, when my whole family, we all went to cross-country to all the national parks, and this is in Montana, Glacier National Park. Yeah, sometimes they look a little dark, I feel like I have to fix them up, but
I like the way you framed that.
yeah.
The grays
this
and the
here.
grays.
Yeah, I did
Very
too. This
nice.
is a plastic frame, so it wasn't as expensive as it might look, but, and Walter here, Walter did so many of my frames. And I would always get, I gotta do this color matte and that frame. You know, it was me, that was how I do things. And, this one, I did from, I just really recently did this. It was my friend sitting in Florida.
Yeah, that's so nice.
My friend sitting on the rocks in Florida, at Venice, Florida, and it was a sunset. And I just did this one, and I happen to have this frame. So it looks like a fancy frame, but I haven't had it a long time.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's very well framed too.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is a beautiful frame.
I think that's all. I have a lot to learn from the artists, from the history of art. I have so much to learn. This is a great, great group. I think it's the best group that anybody could ever belong to. And I was very appreciative that Sean came early and helped me put up the easels, and Helen and Galena set up refreshments for everyone. And Reuben helped me carry some. And
We have
yes.
some questions.
Yeah, we have questions.
Yeah.
Where is that motel? Do you still have a motel?
No, it was sold.
Do you ever go up and look at it?
Occasionally, very rarely though. Yes, it's called the Aalto Motel. It's next to a restaurant. And this is really the lodge we used to live in and rent it out in the wintertime. And in the wintertime, students, you know, like young people would come, and I came up there and they were all pouring beer on themselves. And it's about 50 or 100. So I go, you can't do this in my house. You know, so I said, go home. He said, how can we go home? We're all drunk. I said, well, we only rented it to 10 people. We didn't expect 100. So I had the courage to do that.
Now, when you painted that, was that before you met Mario?
No,
Oh, that was after
that's
Mario.
Mario gave me
Who was your
some.
first teacher?
Mario.
that
Mario
all?
introduced me.
And then in
To
service
art.
courses, right, in service and John and
And
Earl
in
was
service
huge. You had to
courses
meet
and learning from a lot, the newer ones I do basically on my own.
Mario brought a lot of people into this scene.
Oh, he was wonderful. He introduced
What year
me.
was he president?
Oh, 92 maybe. I have a list.
Yeah, so that's when you.
He was the only president that got married while he was president.
Yes, and Carol.
No, but
Carol is the
he had
most
two
wonderful
girlfriends,
woman.
and I had met one
Yes.
one day at the fair, and beautiful woman, oh,
She
exquisite.
is. Yeah.
And then the next 2 days later, I'm introduced to Carol. This is my girlfriend. Well, I didn't know Carol was standing there, and I said, "Where's your beautiful girlfriend?" Oh, she was behind him. He was kissing. It was so funny. I almost, I'm very quick, and I said something. So I turned around and says, "I'd like to introduce you to my girlfriend." Oh, he married her.
And Carol is the most wonderful woman. Every time I see her, she's so sweet to me. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman. And I'm so happy for him to marry Carol.
There's nobody that's not sweet.
Oh, there's another question. Emily, another
Yes?
question.
When you saw the sign in the window for art lessons and thought you might want to try it, what were your thoughts when you had your first lesson?
I just went through my husband leaving me for another woman and the family and everything. So I was looking for something to distract my mind.
Yeah.
You know, something that would be a lot of fun and something that would, let me try.
And interesting, yeah.
Yeah, something interesting. I never thought of myself as
Did you
an
like
artist.
it though? Did you find it
Yes.
fun?
Oh, yes, Mario was a very good teacher. For several years, I took lessons with Mario, and he's an excellent, he would come to our school. He would substitute in any room, kindergarten or anything. He was just so confident. And one time we were all going to the Bronx Zoo.
Mario is good at perspective, and you learn
Yes.
that from him very well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really did.
That's really, that's
It shows, that's why I asked you who was your teacher.
Thank you.
He's terrific at that.
Yes, he's a
You
terrific.
do better dogs than him. But perspective, you are very good too.
He helped me with the eyes and the nose on that. It must have been him, because I don't remember.
No, you do fantastic perspective, very beautiful. I
The
never
tree
knew.
is acrylics. Yeah, no, Benjamin Morehouse paint.
Well, that could be a pro.
It's actually acrylic.
Emily, you must say Benjamin Moore, no longevity. He doesn't have longevity, it's 5 years.
Well, I tell you, when we all went to the beach like that, it was an amazing thing. And that picture came out very nice, the one that's hanging on my daughter's
Was
house.
that a class that you went to?
Yes, it was called a scope class, and it was, the first one was called Art Murals for the Classroom Teacher, and the second one was Take Me to Hawaii. And I think it was the Art Murals for the Classroom Teacher, where I met Helen, and John De Niro would be a great artist to come here and do the demo.
He does this wooden sculpture.
He does
Oh my
wooden
God.
sculptures, yes.
He's a character. He changes the person. I was like widowed, and I went into this, taking to who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm at the end of it, and I got in late into the classes. I'm happy I met this guy, blah, blah. So, and I blurted it all out, how I fell in love with that thing called Love at First Sight. But 16 years later, we're still together, so that's good. But she made me do it. She made me come in, you missed the beginning show, but it was really fun. He's a character. He makes you a different person. He gets it out of you. You can do it. It's the whole body. So when Emily speaks of teaching, and you're saying she's not an art teacher, I feel she used all these senses because she felt it already, as pointing to design.
She had talent without knowing it.
She can go and reach the child who's not good in math or something else, all her subjects or literature, whatever, but she could reach them through a strength, something else they love to do, and suddenly you're doing the math better.
Very
So
good.
it's really exciting to see how we develop
I
as she
did have
has.
a good way of motivating the children. We did a lot of, between 3 and 3:30, we read, each child had a novel in their hand. It wasn't part of the curriculum, it was Roald Dahl's novels and everything. And Indian in the Cupboard was another one that was Reed's Bank. And Indian and James and the Giant Peach was and Charlie and the Chocolate. So we did, and we acted them out. I narrated it, and I picked some children to have that part throughout the whole, and they came right in on the dialogue. Now, not everybody could do it, but the children who struggled a little more were able to follow and get the whole gist of, you know, the plot, the characters, and so I'm thinking maybe I'll write a children's novel. I've got an idea for one.
Illustrated too.
Yeah, I don't know about the illustration, but I tell you, I have an idea because it would, well.
Don't give it away, somebody.
No.
I have told so many people, somebody's looking at
Copyright.
it's kind of like
Do it.
items coming alive,
Yeah.
relating to my father when he was in World War II. And when I was in Germany with my second husband, I got treated like a princess. They treated us to everything. We didn't have to pay $1 for anything. They were so good to us. And we were in the Bavarian Alps at a gorgeous resort. It was wonderful. So one of the characters will be somebody from Germany, and one will be somebody from Italy.
Very good. With reading.
And one is going to be a basketball player who's, you know. And who's the fourth one?
What a journey.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah. Well, take me to who I am.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank
That's
you.
Have you any other questions?
Any questions?